Hey guys, so every once in a while during the winter months here, I've been checking up, making sure we don't have any leaks or anything in our camper, just from the cold weather. So our camper is a 2004, so it does have a little age to it. So one of our big concerns is always the roof. We decide not to use a cover on ours for a few reasons that I've researched, and I'm not too fond of covers. One of which is that in the wind, which we get higher winds here in the winter, it can do a lot of damage to the sides of your rig. And then the other reason is that it can trap humidity inside your rig and there's not really too many ways of preventing that. So what we decided was we are not using a cover. Now, part of that side effect is checking on our roof every once in a while. And I went up today. It's a warmer day out. Just in case there are any problems, I can go ahead and seal them up with using some caulking. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I found. Alright, so you can see here, I flaked some of it away. There was a real big crack right here. This is a touchy area because it's your gutter running off the roof. There's a big crack running through that opened up here. So I actually went ahead and pulled some of it off. Somebody prior to us getting it had this spray on stuff that they use for a sealer, which is not that great of an idea to use. So I'll be dealing with that as we go along. Can't really sit there and flake it all off because it'll take forever to try to peel it all off. It goes the whole front of our rig there, where the cap is. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you how I'm going to take care of this issue here. We also found one. See how great. That's why this spray stuff that they use doesn't work. Any little bit of pressure. So when we had snow, any bit of pressure starts putting cracks in. In fact, I just leaned on it here and put a little stress crack in this stuff. It's not very flexible, whatever they used. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to take care of that. And then there's also the sun's probably going to glare over in that corner, some more weight stress cracks that I'm going to seal up. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that with an older rig, how you take care of those. This will be more of a temporary fix until the winter breaks and I can get up here in the spring and actually do a pretty decent job on it. So these are all temporary fixes for your rig. So I went to the local Lowe's department store. The caulk gun, you can see it's orange. That is a typical from the Home Depot. That's theirs. I had that from prior years, and it seems to serve me very well. But I went to Lowe's and pick up, this is my favorite, it's a silicone, fast dry latex silicone. So this is good for those spots where you get in a jam, where you're out and about on the road and you don't have too much time to sit there and fix things the right way. It's more of a temporary band-aid. But the reason I get this one is because it is a fast dry latex silicone. So it works really well, and it'll hold for 50 years from what they're saying. I've been using this on different things like windows and doors for probably about 10 years now since we bought our house, and it holds up very well. But it's crack resistant, which is a good thing, especially being up on the roof of your rig. When you travel with it with your camper, your travel trailer, or your fifth wheel, you're basically putting your rig through what a house would experience as like a hurricane, driving down the road at 55-65 mile an hour for an extended period of time. So you need something that's going to be crack resistant. So that's very important, because you can see what I showed you on the roof. That stuff that somebody sprayed on the roof before we got the rig is not crack resistant. It's very stiff, doesn't flex like a rig needs it to. Another important thing when you're looking for something for the exterior of your rig like that is to make sure it does have a waterproof seal. That's super important. And then this one also, you can, while it's soft on your hands, it's easy to use water cleanup if you get it on your fingers. And it's also interior and exterior. There are some that are out there that are interior only, so you want to make sure it'll hold up to your exterior paint. Alright guys, so what I did was I always cut my point onto an angle anytime I open up my silicone tube. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start, you can see right here where the trim, my gutter trim meets my roof. I'm going to go ahead, like I said, this is just a temporary fix until the spring hits. I'm going to go ahead and start in there where that initial crack is. Clean the area up pretty good to try to keep it, make sure there's no dirt where it can't seal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just get a good bit going on there, right up against, I push up against so that it can sort of pressure itself in that crack. Go right around the edge, anywhere that crack is initially going to be first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually push right on in there. Make sure it gets in that edge really well. Anywhere that initial crack first, where whatever this material is that person used, and make sure it gets nice and pushed up against the crack. Before I forget, I'm going to put some up in there too, where that's initially that little crack was. This stuff works really well. It's very, very easy to use. It can get messy if you're using your fingers without gloves like I do. But alright, so now that I got that all done, I'm going to drop down here where this overlap is. What I want to do is, once the spring hits here, I'm going to actually take all this out. I'm going to take this trim piece off. There's supposed to be a gutter that comes in that's over here that shoots outward so that it keeps the water from draining down your rig. I'm going to install those too. But I'm going to build this up a little bit here, sort of give it a little blend. You don't want to get super thick globs in there because then it takes extra long to dry. But you also do want to make sure that it's packed up in those spots where the water can backfill, which water will do. Yeah, whoever put this spray on, it wasn't a cool thing. Just does not flex at all. Like the silicone has a little bit of give to it, so we'll be able to move with when the rig flexes down the road. I'm not a professional by any means with this caulking. There's ways to get it super blended out, but I'm still learning that part. So you want to make sure anywhere that rain's going to go, it's going to be covered. So you do not want it to get underneath there. Anybody can go buy a brand new camper. They're still going to have issues with it, but having an older one, that's been an experience, because you don't exactly know what all was done unless you open it up, take everything apart and totally revamp it, and you don't know what was done until you start running into issues. So just be cautious if you plan on buying a new or buying a used one, that you be prepared to have to do some DIYing or paying somebody to fix it. Some over top there, like so. Now that'll set up in about 15 minutes, and then one important thing that you want to make sure is that you don't that it doesn't rain, you want to make sure there's no rain in the forecast for 24 hours so that it can cure. And you want to be above 40 degrees when you're applying this. And it's like 49, almost 50 degrees right now. So now that one's done, I'll move to the next little crack and do the same thing like I did there on this top section. I just put some in there and I just move it back and forth to work it into the under both sides of the crack and then let it be up above the top. Alright, so this particular one here, should have did this one first because I have to lean across. Alright, so I'm just going to run a line the whole way across that crack, like so. I'm just going to work it. Let's start this in first. Work it back and forth in there so it gets in up underneath that crack itself. So blend it through. Now the sun's out, so that'll also be a helpful part of this process of getting it to cure. Just a little worried about there's a little water under there. If you have water, take all that off there. If you have water in it, if it gets wet prior to the actual drying time, it stays somewhat wet. So you want to make sure you get all that, make sure it's dry. So I just pushed all that water out, so now we should be good. My roof is not walkable. It's not a walkable roof. So I have to work with this as we string the edge. A little bit more on there. Blend it out so that the rain can run away from it. Like so. Alright, so this one here you can see is really bad. I just took it off. That's that spray-on material that somebody used. So this is pretty rough here. I'm a little nervous. See, it's got a good seal, I think, there. So hopefully it kept it from. It's just sitting in there right now. It's not actually in my. I checked inside here before I started recording this part. It's not actually leaking into my rig, which is good because this is pretty rough. So this one's going to take a little bit more here. Hopefully I can get it done before the sun goes down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have to dry all this out here and then put on the silicone. See what's happening. You can see it's actually damming up here because of the way this contour is. I have my camper nose down a little bit to help it roll off, and it still doesn't have that opportunity to do so. That was making me a little nervous when I first saw this when I got up here. So I'm gonna basically clean off all this real hard stuff that they got. And it's all the way underneath. This isn't good. But you can see how it's so solid. It's just flaking off in the little bits and pieces. And you see that pressure? All I gotta do is run my finger along there, and it's already starting to crack. So I'm gonna get that cleaned up here with a towel and air dry it out, and then we'll start caulking. All right, guys. It is all dried up, air dried out. This is definitely going to be more of an emergency type of situation here, just to get it covered now. So I'm running out of daylight time and sun dry time. So I'm actually going to just give it a real thick bead. Fill in. I got to do a lot of filling in here. Holy cow. This is rather devastating at this time of year for me, seeing this. We had some snow, and it got a little heavy. It wasn't much snow. There was enough, I guess, to put some weight on here and crack this all out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it over this whole area. I'm going to smooth it out so it's one complete layer to seal out anything over any of this area at that point. But it'll be a real thin layer across there for us to work with for next, as the season breaks. So, looks like I'm gonna have to go do a little more on this before we head out to April. Head out than I thought. But this is why you do your your checks. Checks on your rig. Alright. So I'm gonna move all this around in here to get it sort of layered out. Have more of a thinner layer. If you're good with icing, smoothing icing out, that would be the trick. I'm usually not. So this definitely isn't going to be a cosmetic finish. For sure. Good with body filler. I used to work with my dad in our body shop he had. But I'm not a silicone person. As we move along here, more and more DIY, and I guess I get a little better. I'm gonna make sure I move it around a little bit, because then it gives an opportunity for the air bubbles that are any kind of air bubbles that might be trapped under there. They can sort of work themselves out. Just like that. There. I always blend it. I try to blend it out in the edges. Helps grab a hold of the surfaces. We're trying to apply it to this spot right here too. I don't know if that's out of camera. A little bit in there. Make sure the sun's able to get on this here before, so I can help dry it some. The thicker you have it, unfortunately, the longer it takes to set. Hey guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then once you do that, turn on the bell so that you get notifications on when we post more videos.